Welcome to Fabric Monday. Let's talk about Microsoft Fabric and private endpoints. What are private endpoints? Let's discover. Private end is used to inject a PaaS service inside the private network. PaaS service is a platform as a service. For example, Azure SQL, Azure Storage Account, Azure Synapse. All these are PaaS services. By default, may be public or at least have a public endpoint. But if we would like them to be in a private network, we need to use a private endpoint. How does this work? This scenario, for example. Let's consider a storage account. That storage account is disabled for public access. It's not allowing any public access, and it's injected inside a private network using a private endpoint. Then internal apps from that private network can access the storage account. But this is Azure. You are talking about Azure. What this has in relation to Fabric? What's the relation between this and Fabric? Well, the relation is that now we can create a private endpoint for Azure objects inside Fabric. Why would we want that? Simple. Because these objects, like the storage account or an Azure SQL, hold data that we want to ingest inside our lakehouse or data warehouse. So we want to access this data. If the company already has a policy to keep these objects private in a private network, it makes the access to these objects more difficult to Fabric. So now we have the option to use a private endpoint. How this works? The workspace in Fabric will become a network. The workspace will be configured to become a network. In fact, part of a managed network. Is virtual network and managed network the same? No. Virtual networks in Azure are managed by us. We need to create them, we need to manage them. But managed virtual networks are virtual networks that are managed by the service itself. So Fabric by itself will manage this virtual network. So it's a managed virtual network for our workspace. Let's say we have a notebook inside this workspace. We can access that storage if we create a private endpoint inside our workspace. So the workspace gets a private endpoint, and through the private endpoint, the notebook can access that storage. The creation of the managed virtual network happens exactly in the moment that we create a first private endpoint for the workspace. Once we create the first private endpoint for the workspace, we are telling Microsoft Fabric we want this workspace to be part of a private network. So that workspace is isolated and put on a private virtual network, managed virtual network. Let's see how this works. First, let's take a look on a storage on Azure. I have here a storage called PBI storage source, and this storage has a container with some data. Containers called files, and this container files has a file, a CSV file called location CSV. So I want my notebook to be capable to read this. At the moment, the storage is public. The notebook is already capable to read this. But let's make the connection with a private endpoint and then make the storage completely private. How we do that? First, we need the resource ID for this storage. The resource ID is located on the endpoint item in the left blade. So I get the storage ID for the storage account. This ID, including the subscription, resource group, and the storage account name. So I copied this ID, and now let's go to Power BI. Here I have my workspace. So on my workspace, I go to Workspace Settings and Network Security. Here on Network Security, I can make the creation of the private endpoint. Let's call this PV Storage. Then I put the resource identifier. Because it is a storage account, it provides many kinds of services. So it's asking what kind of sub-resource we would like to access. In this case, I want a private endpoint for a data lake storage Gen 2, for this service of the storage account. And let's create the private endpoint. Create. The private endpoint appears here, and it takes some moments until it finishes the provisioning and become activated. This service is still in preview, so you need to be patient. Don't go to Azure and try to do something there. No, wait until it's finished the provision. The provisioning is finished. It's pending approval. What is approval? Simple. It's not anyone who can create a private endpoint to one of our Azure resources. The private endpoint needs to be approved by the resource owner on Azure. So we need to get back to Azure. On the storage, we go to Networking, Private Endpoints Connection. Here is the private endpoint which is being created, and it's pending approval. So you select this private endpoint and approve this private endpoint. That's it. The private endpoint is approved. Let's get back to Power BI. I can make a refresh here. In the same way as the activation, it takes some moments for the Power BI to identify the approval of the private endpoint. Let's wait. The private endpoint is already approved. It took many minutes for the approval to appear here, but the Monday Magic made it seem like just a few seconds. Now let's use the notebook and access the data on the storage account. On the notebook, I will read the data from the storage account, so I need to use the address of the storage account. I ask it to use a private endpoint for an Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, so the protocol uses ABFSS. This protocol requires that I use the name of the container as if it were a username, and then bring the rest of the path of the storage and the rest of the path of the container, in this case only the file name. And I'll load this as CSV and display the information. Let's execute. And there it is, the data from the file contained on the storage on the Azure account. You may not have noticed it, but it took a total of 2 minutes and 43 seconds for the Spark session to be started. The Monday Magic again made it appear just a few seconds. Why? Why so long? I'll talk more about this in a moment. Let's get back to Azure. Our storage is still public. So now to prove that the private endpoint is being used, I will disable public access for this storage. Save. By disabling public access to this storage, this means that not even me on the Azure portal can access the data of this storage. Let's try. Containers, files, and I have an error. I'm not authorized to access the data of this storage because the public access is disabled. Let's go back to our notebook. On the notebook, let's clear this output and I will execute the query again. There it is. The query is still capable to retrieve the data from the Azure storage because we have a private endpoint linking the networks. This communication doesn't pass through internet. It's through a private virtual network between our workspace and the Azure storage. Let's check some more details about this private endpoint. Let's get back to our PowerPoint. We noticed that the session was taking a long time to start. Why? Because when we define a managed virtual network, the Spark cluster used to process the notebook can't be the same public cluster used by the other workspace, by public workspace. In this way, there are a set of Spark clusters inserted inside our managed VNet. So our notebook is processed by a set of special Spark clusters. This is managed to us. We don't need to care. The only problem is the starting time of the session, which takes longer. Some requirements for this structure to work. First, the storage account needs to be in the same tenant as Power BI. How will I check that? Well, if you already log in on Azure and Power BI with the same account, they are in the same tenant. But you can double check them. You can see here on the side of the window how you can check this in Power BI. You click Help and Support and click the About option. The About option changes according to the experience that you are using, but it doesn't mind. And here you have the tenant URL. What's important on this tenant URL is the ID contained on this URL. This ID, which we can notice, it starts with 52B6B9. 52B6B9. Let's check this on the Azure environment. Now you can see here on the side of the screen the Azure environment. Let's go to Home, Microsoft Entra ID, and here we have the tenant ID. We immediately see on the screen the tenant ID 52B6B9. I could compare the entire number, of course, but we can already notice I'm using the same tenant for the communication. If they were different tenants, it would not work. The tenant is the first requirement. The second requirement is the permission of the Power BI user. The user connected on the Power BI environment needs to have permission to access the storage. The kind of permission these screens will vary a lot according to the set which you are using. In my example, the storage has anonymous access enabled, but even so, the user had to receive the permission on the storage. Let's go to Azure to check this. On Azure, I'll click on Home, My Storage, PBI Storage Resource. I'll click on Access Control, Row Assignments, and let's check the roles we have. The owner of the storage doesn't ensure they can access the data. The owner of the storage can control the storage, but not necessarily access the data. To access the data, the account needs to have a storage blob data owner or data contributor or data reader, and this is the account which I'm using on the Power BI environment. As you can see on this side of the window, the account on the Power BI environment. So you can notice the account on the Power BI environment is the same account which receives a permission on the storage. It has permission on the storage allowing the act to happen. In this example, we made a private endpoint to make a secure connection to Aceph on the Azure environment. Aceph protected by a virtual network. Thank you very much for watching and see you next Monday.